to the sessions even during the very busy peak season as well, particularly because it is quite, this particular topic is quite an exciting one as well. So we'll get started. So thank you everyone for joining in today's session, and if there are any people who have come into the session a little bit late, if you could kindly mute yourself just so that we don't get any noise or feedback during the session. I might go around and just mute you during the presentation as well. But if you are still having problems hearing, the audio, you can also use the call-in number that was provided and supplied, in the training invite link as well. So just putting a couple of people on mute before we begin, but thank you so much. Okay, so basically what today's agenda involves with Scandinavia is that what we are going to be looking at is a detailed explanation of what each of the fjord tours involved, also to review the various features of different Swedish trains, and then also to take a very focused view on the Allegro train, which operates between Finland and Russia. So hopefully by the end of this session, we will have a better understanding of what exciting products we can offer for our customers in Scandinavia, and also have a better understanding of what trains they feature in those specific areas as well. So if you can, during the session, if you do have any questions, please feel free to enter them during the session in the chat box. I might have a little question and answer session by the end of the training period, just to clarify any queries any people might have during the presentation as well. So we will get started. So I guess the question is, why go to Scandinavia? Scandinavia is definitely one of the most unique destinations for a lot of our customers to go to, especially in the face of a lot of, European excitement and European popularity with our Ural passes. Scandinavia is definitely one of the more unique destinations that not many people have traveled to as yet. But for those who have traveled to Scandinavia, definitely some of the most exciting points of interest would be to travel to see the most beautiful scenery like fjords in Norway, also to get a better understanding of the rich culture and history by visiting Viking and maritime museums in these areas as well, and even have a very unique accommodation experience by staying in a snow hotel in Norway. I know personally for me that is certainly one of my bucket list agendas for my own personal travels as well. And then also some other exciting, features of traveling through to Scandinavia as well would be to visit the beautiful Tivoli Gardens in Denmark, the remarkable Vigeland Sculpture Park in Oslo as well, and then also to get a better, a rich history of the various fortresses and castles that encompass this very, very rich area as well. And then also visiting other history museums would also comprise a very, a very driven agenda of why you would wish to travel to this very special part of the world as well. So I guess to start off with, we will go through the individual fjord tours as well. But the most popular tour that we can sell to our customers would be the Norway in a nutshell. So basically what the Norway in a nutshell does comprise of is that it is a combination of both travel by train, boat and bus, depending on the itinerary that your customer does wish to choose as well. So there are a different range of combinations in which you can do the tour as well. But basically what the Norway in a nutshell tours now offer as well is a choice of experiencing the fjords on a 2-hour traditional boat, or a more high-speed modern boat journey, which only takes about 1.5 hours as well. So just something to remark about the Norway in a nutshell and the choices of traveling on these boats too, is that with the high-speed boat journey and the traditional boat, these do only operate on a seasonal basis. So there might be times that, if your passenger does wish to travel on the high-speed boat journey, it might be a case that they just have to be aware of what the seasonal period is in which the boat itself actually operates. I'll go through a lot more detailed features of what the itinerary involves, but I'll go through just really briefly what the benefits and features of traveling on the Norway in a nutshell are as well. So basically what it involves is a combination of travel on train and boat and bus through some of the most spectacular scenery across Norway. Something to just be very aware of as well is that when you are, booking the Norway in a nutshell for your passengers, is that the train journey only offers second class in reservations. So in Norway in general, there's no first class in, on the trains. They only have one standardized class of service, which is second class. Although it is available in second class, that's not to say that it is a bad class of service per se. However, it just means that it is a standardized class of service itself. Now here at Rail Plus, we have recently had a staff member of ours who did travel on the Norway in a nutshell, and her opinion of traveling on the second class carriages on the train was that it was actually very comfortable, and in most cases quite modern as well. So don't let the class of service deter your customers from booking anything in relation to the Norway in a nutshell as well. So additional features is that it does also include travel on the Flam and Bergen railways, and also travel on the Arlandsfjord and the Nærøyfjord with your choice of a modern high-speed boat, which operates between the 1st of June, just remarking over there, to the 30th of September, or even a traditional boat which operates year-round. So this is what I was saying earlier, that with the boat options, again, the high-speed boat only operates during the popular summer periods, whereas if you are traveling, on the off-peak periods, or even just in the general summer period as well, the traditional boat is also operating on a year-round basis. Now looking at the itinerary, depending on the direction of travel, a one-way or round-trip travel is available, and selected 1 or 2 day trips is available for this itinerary. So the beauty of the Norway in a nutshell is that it offers as much flexibility for your customers depending on the journey that they do wish to do as well. So let's have a look at a little bit more of an investigation on the various itineraries that you can do and the different combinations that you can do with the Norway in a nutshell. But first, I'm just going to bring up extranet just so that we've got a bit of visual on this. 1 second. So European travel. So to find information about the Norway in a nutshell, or any of the Scandinavian tours as well, is you would go under European travel on extranet, and then in other products, this would be categorized under fjord tours. Okay, so between the, under the fjord tours, we do have 3 different tours that you can choose from. In this case, let's focus just on Norway in a nutshell for now, and take a look at some of the features as well as the different, inclusions that are available with the journey too. So just to reiterate, again, it does combine travel on train, second class only, boat and bus throughout Norway as well. And like I said earlier, you can choose your itinerary, direction of travel, one-way or round-trip travel, and selecting from 1 or 2 day trips as well. Something to just be aware of when you are, booking this itinerary too, is that seat reservations are compulsory, but they are included in the cost of the tour, and I'll go through that in a little bit more detail as well. So this is just a general map of the area that the Norway in a nutshell does cover as well. So when you are, planning to, book this for your customers, do be sure that you are aware of the different timetables and the different itineraries as well. So for example, let's take a quick look at the winter timetables. And again, all of this information is available via extranet to find out more information. So with the Norway in a nutshell, depending on whether or not you wish to do a round trip from Bergen via Mørdal or Bergen via Voss, all of these journeys can be done flexibly. So you don't actually have to do the entire journey from Bergen to Bergen, for example, all in one day, because to be perfectly honest, it actually becomes quite a taxing journey to be completed in one complete day. What you can do, however, is actually break up the journey and then travel from Bergen to Mørdal, spend a couple of nights in that area, and then continue all of the journeys progressively from there. Again, it's completely up to you on how your passengers wish to take that journey up, but of course, pre-planning is essential as well. So just to be aware of, when you are booking these fares, there are instructions on how to do this directly via extranet too. So if you are booking the Norway in a nutshell, it does involve booking the product itself, through Euronet, as well as sending off a specific reservation form directly to the help desk team as well. So the first step in booking the Norway in a nutshell involves opening the product up in Euronet. So you would book the Norway in a nutshell product in Euronet for the itinerary that the customer wants. So of course, in this case, depending on whether or not they wish to go a one-way journey, or if in some scenarios they do already have a Ural pass, they can actually avail of a discounted price as well. So that price has also been taken into account in Euronet too. So, of course, the procedure of booking the product itself in Euronet is the same as booking any freestyle product in Euronet, much like a rail pass, for example. So once you've booked the actual product in Euronet, then the booking can now be finalized, payment authorized, and the booking now invoiced. So basically what will happen is that you will need to, of course, receive full payment from your customer and then authorize the booking to now be on invoice status. So what will then be issued is a void replace coupon, and this will be issued for the Norway in a Nutshell product with other various printed vouchers. So what you then need to do is to replace this void and replace coupon with the travel document that is going to be sent by help desk in the next step. So like I said earlier, by booking these Norway in a Nutshell or these Fjord Tours packages, it involves both the process of booking it through Euronet as well as sending off a separate confirmation to the help desk team here at Rail Europe as well. So after I've booked the actual Norway in a Nutshell or Fjord Tour product directly in Euronet and have created it into invoice status, the next step is that you do need to, after creating the Euronet booking, the extra step is required. So basically the reservation is required, and then of course, like I said earlier, it is included in the price of the tour. But through extranet, what you do need to do is to ensure that you filled out the form completely and then send it to fjordtours@raileurope.com. So let's take a quick look at what the form looks like that we need to send to the help desk team. So as soon as I click on that link, it automatically downloads an Excel spreadsheet which must be completed by yourself and then emailed through to the Fjord Tours team directly as well. So it's just opening up that document. Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to bring this up. I'm just going to click on Enable Editing. So our responsibility when we are booking the reservations for the Norway in a Nutshell is to fill out as much detailed information as possible. Now let me just zoom in a little bit more. So as you're filling this out, by the time you are filling out the Norway in a Nutshell reservation form, you do need to ensure that your booking is, of course, in invoice status in Euronet. So, of course, by the time you're filling this out, it would assume that you've already taken that step. So, of course, I'm just going to do a little sample. So I would fill it out with my Euronet booking number, one too many digits, of course. Fill out with the intended travel date that the passenger does wish to start the Norway in a Nutshell tour. So in this case, let me just put in 27th of May, 2018. And then, of course, the fare type and the boat selection. So you do have to indicate whether or not your customer wishes to take up the classic boat or the premium high-speed boat. But again, like I said before, do bear in mind that the premium high-speed boat does depend on whether or not the boat is actually operating. So remembering the seasonal period of June up until September that the high-speed premium boat is operating as well. And then, of course, you would need to enter, the to and from where you are planning to start the journey, the departure and the arrival time, the route trip option, and then eventually the quantity of passengers who do wish to book the reservations in conjunction with that as well. So what you do need to do is select the fare and the boat type from the drop-down list, and then from there select the applicable itinerary that your customer wishes to do. So once you have filled out your reservation form, of course, save the document, and then, of course, let me just have a quick look. Save the document, and then you do need to send it to the Fjord Tours team at Rail Europe as well. So ensure that you're sending it to this email right here. Okay, perfect. So then once you have, let me just bring, sorry, my cursor just went missing for a moment there. The thing to be aware of, though, is that once you are filling out the form and sending it to the Fjord Tours team at raileurope.com, you do have to ensure that you are allowing enough time for the form and the confirmation of the reservations to take place, because it does take about 5 business days for the fulfillment team to complete the order and have the travel confirmation sent back to the customers as a PDF by email. So please, please, please be aware that there is that minimum amount of time that is required prior to receiving the confirmation also. So prior to leaving, prior to leaving the country, you would assume that you would have already completed the Euronet process, as well as finalizing the confirmation of the seat reservations directly with the help desk team. So then the third and final step, of course, is the retrieval at the station. So with the confirmation PDF that is received from the help desk team at Rail Europe, the travellers will then need to take the confirmation that the help desk team has issued and go directly to the NSB ticket office at the railway station to retrieve their actual Norway in a Nutshell ticket and reservation. So please do bear that in mind when you are, booking this for your customers, because although we are booking the product within Euronet and then finalizing the confirmation with the help desk team, your customers will actually not receive the real documentation until they get to Norway at the NSB ticketing office. So just do bear that in mind in terms of the booking flow and the process as well. So like I said throughout the training session, if you do have questions while I am discussing this, please don't hesitate to continue adding these in the chat box, and I'll try my best to have some time for a question and answer session at the end of the training program as well. Perfect. Okay, so now just going back to the Norway in a nutshell and the Fjord Tours presentation, let's continue now with the Sognefjord in a nutshell. So basically the booking process is still going to be exactly the same as what I'd mentioned earlier. The difference is, however, is the itinerary and the destinations itself that it actually covers. So now looking now at the Sognefjord in a nutshell, it does cover a different destination to what the Norway in a nutshell involves as well. So basically with the Sognefjord in a nutshell, it does involve a circular itinerary to take the clients to some of the most magnificent sceneries in Western Norway. So it's a combination of spectacular train rides and an equally impressive trip by express boat through the Sognefjord. So just to mention their express boat on this journey itself. The most important thing to mention, however, on the Sognefjord in a nutshell is that it is a seasonal itinerary. It's not a year-round itinerary, but it will only operate between May through to September only. My assumption would be because the journey itself is operated by the express boat, which probably isn't going to be operating during the colder seasons of the year as well. So the Sognefjord in a nutshell involves 6 itineraries, combining by rail, second-class rail, just to reiterate, and then also the boat itself as well. So with these trains and the express boat on these tours, they provide the spectacular scenery, including mountains, fjord, and also sea as well. So similar to the Norway in a nutshell, the Sognefjord in a nutshell also offers, a choice in the itinerary, the direction of travel, or one-way or round-trip travel, and selected from 1 or 2 day trips as well. So let me just bring up the profile page of it on Extranet. Here we go. Okay, Sognefjord in a nutshell. Okay. So just bringing up the various itineraries and the choices that your customers can do as well. So again, just to recap, so the Sognefjord in a nutshell, like I said, it is a seasonal itinerary that your passengers can take up. So it only operates during the summer periods. Now, it can be done as a round trip from Bergen by starting by boat, by continuing on to Flam, and then Flam to Myrdal, and then Myrdal back to Bergen. And because these services do operate daily as well, it is possible to break up the journey rather than doing it, like I said earlier, as a complete journey to be done all in one day as well. So there's also the option to do it as a round trip from Bergen, starting by train, so basically doing the reverse direction of what had been mentioned earlier as well, or even doing it as a a one-way trip from Bergen through to Oslo as well. So there's a lot of flexibility in the itinerary and what your customers can choose to do. So, of course, it is important to make sure that you've pre-organized this prior to travel as well. So, now, before we continue on to, we haven't got a session on the Hardangerfjord in a nutshell in this case, but so that's some general information about the various fjord tours that we can book through Euronet. So like I said, please continue to keep on putting your questions in the chat box in relation to that, and I'll have a little question and answer session at the end of the period as well. So now we'll look more specifically at, various individual trains, within Scandinavia, whether or not they're domestic services or even international services that connect with neighboring countries as well. So we'll first look at trains in Sweden. So with Swedish trains, they do travel at speeds of up to 303 kilometers an hour in service of all major routes. So contrary to Norway trains, the high-speed trains carry about 6 different cars, offering 318 seats. So in first class, it's a little bit more exclusive in that it offers, two cars on board on the train itself. And in second class, there's obviously more capacity for that by offering 4 cars on that vehicle itself. There is also an additional bistro car, so there's 1 car available on, on each departure. And basically with the bistro on the high-speed trains and intercity trains, they do offer and serve hot and cold dishes, sandwiches, beer and wine and soft drinks and coffee and cakes. Just bear in mind that even if you are traveling in first class, your meal isn't included on the train. So if you do wish to purchase, or if you do wish to, eat on the train, you do have to purchase that at an extra cost. Okay. So very popular routes on, SJ high-speed trains would be to travel from Stockholm to Gothenburg in about three hours, Stockholm to Malmö in 4 hours and 41 minutes, and then also from Stockholm to Sundsvall in 3 hours and 34 minutes as well. So with trains in Sweden, something to just remark on, I don't think I've mentioned it as yet, but with the trains in Sweden, they do only have a booking horizon of about 60 days in advance. So it may be a case that at times, if you do have a larger and greater itinerary involving other European trains, there may be situations where the Scandinavian trains will be the last to confirm, primarily because they have a narrower booking horizon in comparison to other European trains in general as well. So on all major routes, just some extra information on the Swedish trains as well. The high-speed trains do also have a special coach, which has a built-in wheelchair lift and even space for a wheelchair. So S-Train services really do try to have as much inclusivity as possible for all passengers who do travel on the service. Please just do bear in mind that, pre-booking with, SJ is required if you do want to have this specific wheelchair lift and the space for the wheelchair too. So unlike other European trains, there is a specific luggage allowance that does apply when you are traveling on the SJ trains. So on SJ trains, you can travel with no more than 2 pieces of luggage, and the maximum dimensions are by 80 by 50 by 35 centimeters per person, and also 1 carry-on handbag as well. So, so just do bear that in mind. Although I did mention earlier that it's 60 days in advance, I think that looking at this information, it does look like you can actually book some services 180 days in advance. But the only reason why I mentioned 60 days is that personally, when I've been trying to confirm a lot of my own SJ trains on my side, I haven't been able to confirm a lot of them until about 60 days. But do bear that in mind that the booking horizons may change, I guess, depending on the actual route itself. But of course, with the trains in Sweden, just do bear in mind that they do only issue paper tickets. So if you do end up booking this for your customer, quite close to the scheduled departure date, try to ensure that you are, leaving enough time to receive your tickets prior to their departure from the country as well. Okay, so although full meals aren't included on SJ trains, first class travelers still do get additional amenities on board the trains, such as having a complimentary Swedish newspaper, coffee and tea and fruit throughout the journey. But again, any meals at the bistro still will be at an extra cost as well. So there is internet connection available on the train and also a media portal. And then also they do have access to SJ lounges in Stockholm Central, Gothenburg Central and Malmö Central stations where passengers can, enjoy complimentary tea and coffee and just to relax, while they are waiting for the departure of their train as well. Okay, so for passengers traveling in second class, they do also still have access to internet connection and the media portal as well, but also have additional facilities on board the train, such as baby changing facilities, except for the passengers located in car 4 as well. There's also some additional features like, children's books and music on board to cater for, the amount of families that do travel in second class in general in Sweden. Okay, so now moving on to the, the Allegro train operating from Finland through to Russia. So with the Allegro trains, like I said earlier, it is a purely international service. So it does consist of 7 carriages and do also have a maximum speed of up to 220 kilometers per hour. So the route itself really only goes from Helsinki to St. Petersburg or vice versa. It is quite a modern train to travel in, and they are completely non-smoking, but do offer internet, Wi-Fi, air conditioning, and also, drinkable water during the journey as well. So the onboard information for passengers is available in Russian, Finnish, and then also English, but also does have quite a tight booking horizon of about 60 days in advance. In my own experience, I do know that sometimes, in my case, I wasn't able to confirm the train up until about 30 days in advance. So do keep that in mind when you are trying to book this train. But generally, it does lean toward the 60-day in advance booking horizon as well. Okay. So inclusions on board, first class passengers do have leather seats available, when they are traveling, and there is a lounge meeting room with 6 seats available in that compartment too. So tea and coffee is available from a self-service station on board the train, and then it is also, a light snack is included, to be served at the seat as well. So they do also provide radio headphones so that passengers can have, some entertainment during the journey as well. When traveling in second class, however, passengers, do have, fabric upholstered seats, still very comfortable to travel in as well. But there's also a dining car available on the train, offering seats of up to 38 passengers on the train too. Again, this train does have a specific luggage requirement where no passengers can take no more than 2 pieces of luggage per person with a total weight of 35 kilos. So please do bear that in mind when you do have your passengers traveling on the service. So it was just a very light session today to cover all of the, the various features and the focus on, Scandinavian trains. Again, this session has been recorded. I will keep on recording because we do have a couple of questions that were entered in the chat box, and but other than that, thank you so much for those who joined in today's session, and we'll see you again next week where we cover, some more information with a focus on Benelux service as well. So thanks so much for those who joined as well, but do stick around if you do want to stay for the Q&A session too. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just answering a couple of questions from Vanessa, who asked a very good question in the chat box earlier. So she did query, do we need to book the seats? We do need to book the seats for the trains and the sleepers on the overnight train, if any, on Euronet. Is this correct? So only the boat and the bus will be booked by Fjord Tours, or is this only the case for URL pass holders? I might have to look into this a little bit more as well, but my understanding was that all of the reservations were booked by the help desk team in that request form that we would submit via, what am I talking about, via extranet as well. My understanding overall was that with the overnight trains, we actually couldn't book those, but let me just have a quick look in extranet just to clarify that information. Now, I don't know if anyone, I might just share my screen again for, let me just bring that up so that we can all look at the same information. So booking, confirmation process, important information regarding the overnight train. If you'd like to travel round trip Oslo, Bergen, Oslo, take the overnight train. Let me just see. Okay, and take the overnight train to Oslo with the return trip. If you're traveling on an overnight train, booking with a regular seat accommodation is necessary. So basically, you would book the journey and invoice it in Euronet. Actually, let me just, sorry, I'm looking at the Sonja Fjord. Let me look at the Norway in a nutshell. Okay, let me just have a quick look. Okay, so if you are traveling on the overnight train, if you'd like to travel round trip Oslo-Bergen to Oslo and take the overnight train to Oslo on the return trip, the overnight train does need to be booked with a regular seat accommodation. So you would book it and invoice it in Euronet in the round trip in Norway in a nutshell tour. Fill out the form and send the email address as above as normal. So the tour includes the cost of the seat reservation on the overnight train. So in this case, it looks like you would book this as per normal in Euronet and you wouldn't be booking it in that form. But I think for this type of question, I may even need to investigate it for extra clarification. I hope you guys don't mind as well. Now, oh, let me just have a quick look to see. Yeah, okay. So regarding that question, I might have to look into that a little bit more for further clarification. I hope you guys don't mind. But from there, if you do, Vanessa, I will answer the question and I'll email it directly through to you because I do have your contact details nevertheless as part of the training agenda. But it looks like with my understanding overall for this would be that, all of the reservations are generally booked directly by the help desk team. It's just the overnight train that does require this independent process as well. So I guess in that case, I might just end the Q&A session there because it is something that I'll investigate a little bit further, but I will send the answer directly to you once I have further clarification. But does anyone else have any final questions in relation to the anything about Scandinavian trains or fjord tours? If so, please do let me know, and we can clarify them here. But if not, that would basically end our session today. And thanks again for everyone that did join too. Okay, it doesn't look like anyone else has any questions. I will end the session right here. And again, thanks to those who stuck around for a little bit longer. I'll follow up that question and send the answers to you guys as well. Thank you.